history, we are taught a very, very shallow version of Earth history. We are also taught that we evolved from a single cell, that essentially we were an accident. Okay, all of us are just an accident. And something happened, something really weird, but yet something miraculous happened to a couple of chimpanzees, and ta-da, here we are. Should it be so simple? In fact, I like the real version much better than the concocted version. Earth formation. We're going to start with the Precambrian time, 4.5 billion years ago to 554 million years ago. Earth taught history. The Earth is forming, along with other planets in the solar system. Earth is being born. Life is awakening. The first tectonic plates are beginning to move. Fungus, plants, animals, and organisms are developing, and the atmosphere is becoming enriched with oxygen. Extraterrestrial taught history, or I should say Andromedan taught history. An ancient race known as the Founders, who the Andromedans and the Pleiadians believe is an ancient race called the Paatal. That's P-A-A-T-A-L. Is on an engineering program whereby environments of planets and terraforming is being done. They are doing this to make these planets and star solar systems suitable and habitable for organisms and for life. Rendering ecosystems that are filled with hydrogen, oxygen, methane, and ammonia. Now, these are all gases. For the introduction and colonization of microorganisms, nanites, and all types of life forms. Self-replicating machinery and the bombardment by comets and planetoids to change the rotation and the chemistry of the planets. The practice and engineering of removing moons to alter a planet's rotation and moving planets closer and further from their suns to either decrease or increase radiation received by the planets. Now, I want you to know that that specific engineering feat of moving planets closer and further away from the sun, moving moons, adding moons, is a practice that is absolutely in full swing today throughout the galaxy and in other galaxies. It is solar system building. This happens a lot. There are races, even the Andromedans, are capable of creating a solar system. All projects, it appears, were designed to render many star systems and many planetary bodies habitable for organic life. Small machines have been discovered that were built so long ago that no one really knows for sure who built them. They cannot be replicated, and no one knows exactly how they were built. Now, I'll give you an example of the Andromedans. The Andromedans are approximately 43 to 4,500 years more advanced than we are technologically. Now, that's in our years. A year for us equals 365 days. This is one rotation around our sun. The Andromedans count years in a completely different way. In fact, almost all the extraterrestrials do. In their concept of age, of counting, especially in this way, what they consider a year is when every cell in their body has been fully replicated. Now, if we did that, 1 year would be equal to 7 years in our body. It takes approximately 34 years for their bodies in our time to replicate every cell in their body in our time. So it's hard to give you exact dates of when they say something happened to put it into our timeline, okay, of years. okay? Because in reality, if I say it was 4,000 years ago, then it's a lot longer than that. But they've had a very hard time explaining to me exactly in our Earth time because they don't deal with the concept of time. You know, they just don't. All right? So, but I'm giving you these numbers in Earth years just to give you an idea of how vast our history is. Amazingly, these machines still work. The machines do not have a name in the English language. They don't even have a symbol that we could comprehend. So it's been explained to me that it is considered an antimatter machine. It creates matter. It creates molecules, which then create atoms, which then creates physicality. And these are actual machines. They're like computers, where you can program it for what you want, and this machine will literally bring it forth and manifest it. And there it is, physically there. Now, if each one of us had one of these machines, it would be like winning the lottery every day. Mike likes to do VWs. He could make himself a new VW as soon as the new models came out, as soon as he knew what he wanted. I could create a babysitter, you know, so that my wife and I could go out. Apparently, there are 7 of these actually working, and 7 different races have one of these machines. They also discovered advanced building complexes, very large machinery, and complete terraforming ecosystems. Earth-like organic life is much less common than hydrogen gas ecosystems in our galaxy because we are limited, oxygen O2 ecosystems are limited to the geological presence of water. Okay, for O2 life forms, which is what everything is on this planet, there has to be water. So, the most precious thing that we have is our ecosystem, our biosphere. The second most important precious thing we have is, of course, the water. The entire planet used to be fresh water. Our entire planet used to be fresh water. The oceans were salinated. And it was the Nibiru from the star system of Butez that did that because they wanted to control the water. They salted the sea. That's right. So now all you have is, at the time when they did this, there was only 4% fresh water, and they had total control over it. It took 36 years to completely salinate the oceans. And it also gave time for all the life forms in the water to adapt very slowly. But we couldn't drink the water after that. Hydrogen ecosystems are much more abundant, as are methane, and because they are not complicated ecosystems. O2 ecosystems are very, very complex. The most complex in the galaxy. Archaeological evidence, records, and legends point to the founders, quote-unquote, the Patal, as the creators and caretakers of this galaxy. The disappearance and or extinction of the founders appears to be deliberate. And what that means is, and how it's been explained to me, when they use, we all know what disappearance means, but to the Andromedans, when they refer to extinction, if there is no physical record of them on third density, they're extinct on third density. That doesn't mean that they're gone. It could be that they evolved or ascended to a higher frequency, or they dropped down to a higher frequency to create third density, and when they were done, they left. But they are extinct on third density. When the Patal apparently left, according to the archaeological record, other life forms, sentient life forms, reptilian, human, plasmic, methane life forms, all begin to appear and do appear in our galaxy in full form. Now just think about that. They appear in full form. That means that they came from someplace else, or they were brought from someplace else. There was no millions and millions of years worth of evolution into this. And this is the same problem that our archaeologists have on planet Earth. They keep espousing evolution, but there's just no proof of the evolution in the geological, archaeological record. There just isn't. Things appear fully formed. It's amazing stuff. Now, are the Ptah archangels? Are the Ptah the gods? Nobody knows what they are, which is why they just refer to them as the founders, because they don't know. The Andromedans do say that there is a creator. They, in their belief systems, in their traditions, say that it does not carry a dominant male frequency. In their opinion, it carries a dominant female frequency. So, in their opinion, and I'm telling you, they're real men, you know, the creator is a goddess. Does exist. The Paleozoic era, 554 million years ago to 245 million years ago. A dramatic explosion of diverse, multi-celled animals. Well, they put that because suddenly everything is there. It's in the geological record. They don't know how it got there, where it came from, but it's there. So they just say, well, it just exploded. There it is. All these different things show up out of nowhere. Species appear with all living animals, almost all living animals and species appear within a few million years. Again, there's no evolutionary process here. They just begin to see them in the archaeological record. And each consisting on different parts of our modern continents. Now, at the time that this was happening, the North and South Pole were different. Okay? The planet was literally laying on its side. It had already had a pole shift, one of its many pole shifts, okay, which is where the physical North and South Pole rotate, usually following a magnetic pole shift if it's done on its own. If it doesn't do it on its own, that is because a planetoid or an asteroid hit the planet, made it roll, and then what happens is the magnetic poles will either correct it over time and make the planet rotate back, or the magnetic poles will follow. The west coast of North America ran east and west along the equator. Africa was the South Pole. Suddenly, during this period, 245 million years ago, 90% of all marine and animal life becomes extinct. Okay? Animal life, not plant and fauna. Okay? Marine and animal life. Now, you would think that if something really dramatic happened, that everything would be affected. But that's not what happened. The same period, 544 million to 245 million, the ET history, the Andromedan ET history. Races in the solar system begin to develop space travel. Most are only able to travel within their own star systems. Some, however, are able to travel outside of their respective systems and have begun contact and discovery of other cultures. The start of trade within star systems begins. Trade routes are established and negotiated. The sharing of technology has begun.